Still no update on the male victim's condition and no arrest made in this case thus far.
8 were transported to local hospitals for non-life-threatening injuries.
And we know, as you said, over the past 3 hours, you've gotten those carbon monoxide levels down. But how dangerous could this have been if they continued to stay in the building? They suggest leaving them in the trunk or somewhere where they could be less visible. Prices have skyrocketed for even some of the most common materials, like plywood. Another guarantee of tubing, you're probably going to get wet and you might flip over. At Smith Mountain Lake, Rachel Schneider, WDBJ 7.
Bedford County Public School Board gathered tonight, met by dozens of parents who still want a say in whether or not their child must wear a mask to school. This meeting happening just hours after that latest public health order was announced. WDBJ 7's Rachel Schneider has been covering the reaction in Bedford today and joins us live with more. Rachel?
Jane, parents do not believe that this battle is over just yet. They say that even with their kids in school, they will not be requiring their own children to wear masks, and they don't think that school board officials should be doing it for them either. Take a look. Another eventful night for the Bedford County School Board took place Thursday. Before the public comment portion of the meeting began, parents met outside for a rally questioning what was constitutional for the school board and the Commonwealth.
I have filed the letter to have them medically exempt from wearing a mask, because I am not going to let my child suffocate all day.
When the board came out of their closed session, they were met with parents on both sides of the argument surrounding masks in schools.
This is a public health emergency.
Everybody with American flag.
I think that many of the people who oppose the mask laws here don't really understand how the masks work.
But not everyone saved their opinions for the podium.
You ought to walk him out on a rail with fire behind him.
Yeah. I want him out.
There you go. Everybody want him out. Let the babies be walked out.
Resulting in some parents being asked to leave before public comments were limited to only allowing one speaker in the room at a time without an audience.
The government cannot kick all of our kids out of school. They are for not wearing masks, and they will certainly not get rid of all of these parents who are ticked off because someone else is trying to do our job.
Tonight we had members of the public that were not respecting the speakers. They were interjecting. The board could not hear. Speakers were struggling to stay on base. And so we just wanted to make it a supportive environment for our guests to be in.
And the school board did take another vote amongst its members, again reaffirming the superintendent's original plan for the school to require masks for staff and students K through 12. Other board members, they did oppose this vote. They said that they still think that masking should be up to the parents. But I talked with the chairman of the school board, who says that after consulting with the superintendent and their attorneys, they really think that their hands are tied, especially with this latest order from the Commonwealth. Jane?
All right, Rachel Schneider bringing us that information from Bedford tonight. Thank you, Rachel.
Airbnb announced the #1 most hospitable host in the entire Commonwealth, and they're right here in one of our hometowns.
That's exactly right. It's a Floyd family's tiny house. It holds the true story of American resilience, along with being a clean and peaceful getaway for many during the pandemic. WDBJ 7's Rachel Schneider has tonight's good news here at home.
Tucked away in the countryside of Floyd is a small tin home with a story all its own. Hari Burzins takes us inside her family's tiny house after achieving the highest ratings for cleanliness, check-in, and communication in Virginia on Airbnb.
We all pitch in, many hands make light work.
Creating the 168 square foot living space was never the Burzins' original plan, but a recovery response after going bankrupt.
We lost our restaurant in 2008 and decided to rebuild our lives without ever using credit again. And so we started with this house because we could build it with cash.
The family of 4 lived in the house for 4 years before saving enough money to buy wood, building their current home next door, and finally renting out their listing online.
And it's a real success story after a big failure, to come out and feel like, wow, it worked, the whole plan. And now here we are on Airbnb being recognized as the most hospitable host in the Commonwealth of Virginia. That's pretty amazing.
When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, uncertainty creeped in again for the Berzins.
Every reservation we had for the next month just canceled. And so I thought, what is going to happen? I mean, is it over?
To their surprise, bookings skyrocketed due to the secluded nature of the stay and high tidiness ratings.
People felt safe coming here, and so they could still get away. We had people come work remotely for a week at a time. COVID has maybe changed the way people are traveling or opened people's eyes to Airbnb and the authentic experiences that you can have when you visit people where they live.
Berzins also ranked number 2 in the country on the same criteria, but she says the most unexpected reward came from meeting their guests and the enrichment added to their lives.
I just love the fact that we can live on this little tiny hillside in Floyd, Virginia, and meet people from all over the world.
In Floyd, Rachel Schneider, WDBJ 7.